Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review and talking about the series Dark Spaces Dungeon. This is a 5-issue comic series published by IDW as part of their IDW Originals. Originally came out in October of 2023. This is written by Scott Snyder with artwork by Hayden Sherman. This is the same team that did Dark Spaces Wildfire. So not every book in this Dark Spaces series is written by Scott Snyder, but this one is, as well as Wildfire. I also should have a video, or there will be a video for Good Deeds, which is not written by Scott Snyder, and then there's also the Hollywood one, which is also not written by Scott Snyder. But man, oh man, these have been so much fun to explore. It scratches that itch that I have for things like True Detective or like these more gnarly, gruesome police procedurals that I like to follow. So this one follows a family that relocates from New York City to rural upstate New York, seeking a fresh start. Their aspirations for a peaceful life are shattered when they discover a hidden dungeon beneath their new property filled with torture devices and weapons. A menacing message on the wall that reads, "Tell no one." So, as paranoia sets in, the father grapples with the dilemma of whom to trust and how to protect his family from the lurking dangers associated with the dungeon. This was a really, really good book. It was really fun to follow the story around. Um, it's full of twists and turns. I think Scott Snyder does such a good job at introducing. We follow our lead detective, right? Who, as we find out more and more about him, we learn that he's one of the victims of these dungeons, and he was one of the only people to have ever escaped from one of them. So now he's dedicating his life. I believe he's a U.S. Marshal, and he's dedicating his life to bringing and finding these dungeons, freeing those people, and catching the person that's behind all this. And he has to team up with uh, the dad of this family, who, because he has brought this to light, is now being targeted by the dungeon keeper. Um, I think the first thing I'll say about this is that Hayden Sherman does such a good job with the artwork here, whether it's portraying the look of this dungeon that is just feels like a cold, dark place. Very much you can see that it is devoid of life. Like if you are in that dungeon, there is just no way that you would be able to survive. Like it just feels very claustrophobic, and I think that's where this book really thrives in poking at those ideas that you can't survive, that there's no help coming, and exploring those feelings of dread and angst. And then also, having this family now as we move into the story, having this family who now is under the threat, and realizing that there's a child that could be taken and is taken, and is now in the position of the detective he was when he was a young boy. Uh, a desperate father and a desperate detective trying their best to put the very much non-existent clues together to find this dungeon. And I think the book, as it unravels and it displays its mystery, it feels almost as if we are just getting more lost and lost in it. As the book goes on, it has a lot of very cool twists and turns, especially towards the end of the book, like the way that it closes out the story. Maybe some people saw it coming. I didn't, and I was very surprised, and I was just like left aghast of what happens. But that's what I like. The story that, everything makes sense to me as we kind of read every into this. It never feels in a way that, like out of um, out of ease, or maybe just because things become convenient. Like this is the way the story's gonna go. It always feels earned, and I think that's interesting and a difficult thing to do in a mystery thriller kind of like this. Um, there's some pretty gnarly sequences. There's some pretty interesting stuff, and like I said, Hayden Sherman's designs, they just really work for whether it's a moment where you're isolated in this dungeon, whether it's a moment where a father is trying his best to figure out how to get back to his family, whether it's the detective struggling with his own past and trying to uh, trying to understand if he truly has escaped that dungeon. It's very very well done. I think the dialogue really brings things up to the next level. When it comes to that, there's a lot of very like just pretty messed up things that happen in here. But the detective and the dad, as they kind of go through this, they just discover some things that uh, feel out of place, but then as they examine them, they just really get into opening up the answers and finding out the truth. And just when you think everybody's safe, maybe that's the place that is the most dangerous to be in. So I really like this. I think overall this was very well received as part of this anthology series, just because of the blend of horror and psychological tension. I believe last time I saw that this was looking to be adapted for some kind of live action series, and it would make sense because this one feels the closest to media that's already out there. Like I mentioned, has a lot of True Detective vibes, has a lot of vibes like shows like Hannibal, where they're dark and gritty, but also very much a psychological thriller. So yeah, it just such a gripping experience that I really enjoyed so much. These Dark Spaces anthology books have been so much fun. That's the reason you probably see and are seeing so many of these videos come out on the channel, because I've been just really diving deep into them. And I'm a little sad that I don't think they're happening anymore over at IW. They had a big shakeup, and they're really kind of leaning more into some of their property stuff and their franchise stuff. But man, oh man, I hope that there's more room for stories like these in other places in comics, because they are fantastic. And I'll always check out a Scott Snyder book. I'll always check out a Hayden Sherman book now. Just such prolific creators, such amazing workers, and I really enjoyed this one. So, if you enjoyed this, or if you have read this book, let me know about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and stay tuned because we have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.